All right, we're back here. And Dominic, you've had I'm going to call it pleasure here, of sitting down with both Mr. Weiner and also Mr. Spitzer in the last month or so. Do they share in common, and what's really different about the two, having gone through, obviously, huge falls from grace?
They're both very ambitious. They both very much believe in themselves that they can come back. Weiner is more emotional at this stage. Weiner, I got the impression, all you had to do was almost touch him, and he was ready to start crying. In fairness to Mr. Spitzer, he's not an emotional guy. That's not who he is. And so, but it was, I've asked tough questions throughout my career, but it was a little tough asking them some of those questions.
Ryan, from your perspective, given, they both had to do with the same subject, but with very different details, obviously. Do you think the capacity for forgiveness is the same? Is it more dependent from the public's perspective on the crime, for lack of a better word, or the contrition? What's the variable? Because I'm sure you follow the social media aspect to this.
I think what's remarkable is neither of them really had any contrition, right? I mean, hosting a cable news show, no offense, is not contrition. Becoming a financial lobbyist is not contrition. So what's remarkable to me is that they both sort of sold out for a while and then said, "I'll come back to public service." I mean, where was the contrition?
Well, there was the spot that Weiner did with Uma, where he said, "I'm so sorry," but you're right. The snarky guy's back already. Yeah. He's already getting lippy with the press and everyone else. So I'm with you. It seems a little manufactured. But you surprised how quickly, seemingly both of them. Certainly, it'd be shocked if Spitzer doesn't win the controller's race, right, Dom? But Weiner has at least got a fighting chance, if not a front runner at this point. Are you surprised how quickly they're back in the good graces?
I think they're both great politicians. I mean, they've both performed really well in the past. They know how to connect with voters. They're very confident, smart men. It doesn't surprise me they're able to perform well in these races.
You know what's interesting about this? There's an article today that talked about what's keeping their numbers so high, poll numbers so high, is the African American community, and that of forgiveness.
That was one of the first communities both of them went to.
Absolutely.
To seek, in effect, contrition.
As African American, we understand issues and understand forgiveness very well, and a lot of other communities do that too, but we do it very well, actually, right? So, other than that, I think that we far the game. But what's so interesting? So that you look at Weiner and Spitzer, and we look at Clinton, and we're able to forgive, as Americans as a whole, a sex scandal, right? And Mark Stanford, apparently, who's got elected to Congress, right?
Exactly.
But what's different about Spitzer is he should be in jail for money laundering. He set up a shell company, right? He broke up. When you $10,000, if you deposit $10,000 in the bank or spend $10 in the bank, they report it. He broke that money up, but he didn't understand. Here's an attorney not understanding that they look at that and look at the total value and still say you're breaking the law. Well, somebody else would have done that, would have laundered money like that, they would be in jail for 5 years.
His resignation in exchange
that's
for
not enough. Come on.
Yeah.
But that's hardly enough.
I always thought the most damning stuff to what he did was, I remember we covered a press conference, you might have even been at it, where it was an outdoor presser where he talked about the ills of prostitution and how it wasn't a victimless crime. And he was going, and that how the women were being put into situations here, and human trafficking and sex trafficking, and he made a huge point of it. I think it was AG at the time. And then, forget about not practicing what you preach here, but then all the sort of details of client number 9 and everything came out. The Weiner thing was just bizarre. But I don't know.
I think we've gotten.
Do you think it's New York? Do you think if this was some other state,
I think we've gotten acclimated to a certain level, a high level of vanity among our politicians and in our politics, and this is sort of
includes prostitution.
This is over the top vanity. If you think about both cases, it's I can do no wrong, and everybody's beneath me in lots of different ways. But I think it's also a problem because we're so starved for people who we think can actually do the job. And we've seen so many people who are ineffective or who don't seem to quite get it. And when we get any hint of that.
Real quickly, guys, I got to hit a break. Do you think in the debates that come up for either of them, if it doesn't come up from the questioners, the other candidates bring it up?
Definitely, because the controller's race is almost over now.
So Stringer's got to do it.
He's got to do it. And Weiner, they've got to find a way to stop him.
And I'm sorry, I actually work with John Burnett, who's a Republican city controller.
And you're saying, yes, it will come up. Yes.
So-
All right. When we come back here, we're going to come back to the Zimmerman verdict, and we're getting some of your take here. As we mentioned before, this played out on social media in so many different forms. We'll get to some of the comments that stood out.